Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. And as you can guess from the title of the video, yep, we're already beginning this series because, well, you know, we've already seen the full Khorne roster for Warhammer 3 yesterday, so we might as well check out what's actually missing. Bear in mind that this video will focus around a mixture of not only Demons of Chaos, but Warriors of Chaos and Beastmen too. And of course, until we see anything to suggest otherwise, we will be skipping out the Age of Sigmar units because it looks like Creative Assembly are hard locked against them. So without further ado, let's begin. We'll start off with essentially the only remaining Lord option, which is weird that we actually aren't getting it at launch. This is a basic God-touched Chaos Lord of Khorne, something just to lead mortal armies if you want to have more of a roleplay aspect. Now I can guarantee that we're going to have modders create one within, well, minutes of launch of the game, but it will still be nice to have officially eventually because there are people who don't play with mods. The roleplay aspect of Total War Warhammer is important for those people getting immersed in the lore, so sometimes a Chaos Lord could be quite useful if you just want to lead mortal armies. Again, it's just something which would be a quality of life thing, nothing more. Now, I know I said only one Lord option, but I forgot about the Beastmen, and let's be honest, Games Workshop forgot about the Beastmen for what, 30 years, and Creative Assembly forgot about them for 5, so I think I'm okay for forgetting about them for a minute. A God-touched Beast Lord would again be cool, but only for thematic reasons, because, well, you're not really going to use them much, and if I can be completely honest, it's okay to mix up Beastmen and Warriors of Chaos. They actually did that way back in the day in a former army book where the Beastmen and the Warriors of Chaos were combined. So I'd say a possible omission of a God-touched Beast Lord really wouldn't be that much of a loss. But now let's move on to the heroes. Of course, a basic champion of chaos, marked by the Mark of Khorne of course, would be beneficial here again for the roleplay aspect. A mortal servant which would act as a melee lord and fighter, possibly being able to mount up on a standard Chaos Steed and a Juggernaut of Khorne. The same would go for the Chaos Lord, by the way, which I omitted before, but it's just a basic melee character. Now, we do already have the Cultist of Khorne, but I'm assuming that that's going to work more in the style of a buffer support character, more or less. We still don't really have too much information regarding him, just the very basic stuff. Again, when it comes to any Beastmen characters, they aren't really too needed, but if they get added in, there is the potential for a God-touched Gorbel or a Wargore if a Wargore ever finds its way into Total War Warhammer. But with all that being said, we've basically looked over all the missing Lord and Hero options. Of course, we're just going through Warhammer Fantasy, but now we can look towards any missing units, both reskins and otherwise. So let's begin. Right, we're going to start off with something that pretty much nobody wants, but is a missing unit. These are, of course, Chaos Marauders of Khorne. I'll be very honest, I would have completely omitted them from this list as, yeah, it's very low tier chaff, and while Khorne has no low tier chaff at the moment, they aren't really that needed, though it would be nice to have like a tier 0 type of thing. But the reason why they're actually included in this video is because I'm pretty sure they were shown off in one of the trailers. In fact, you can see a screenshot right now, and that does look like a Chaos Marauder of Khorne. There are a few Chaos Marauder units, and yeah, I don't think all of them would make a good fit for Khorne, mainly because the Horsemen themselves are ranged units and Khorne kind of shies away from that. But we can move on directly to another unit that they can add in, which is the Chaos Knights of Khorne. Right now we've got a lot of heavy chariots, and we're going to have 2 units of heavy monstrous cavalry with the 2 Juggernaut units, so we're kind of missing a basic cavalry unit there. Presumably they'd be a lower tier than the Juggernaut units, so if you want some cavalry early on, these would be your only form. Of course you got the Gore Beast Chariot, and for that I don't think that we're going to have a standard chariot too. They pretty much just do the same thing, so there's really no point having 2 chariot units if they're just going to have the same basic battlefield role. Now, I have had some questions in regards to Blood Beasts, but keep in mind that these are essentially just Chaos Spawn. They're just more aesthetically tied to that of Khorne, and we're already getting basic Chaos Spawn too, so I don't think we're going to get the Blood Beast of Khorne too. Chosen of Khorne are also missing. Again, this is just another reskinned unit, where they would have the same battlefield role as a normal Chaos Chosen, but they're heavily armored and do a lot of damage, and it's strange to me that we don't have a lot of high tier infantry. In fact, given that a lot of units could essentially be reskinned, it's strange that we're just not getting more. Now, there's only a few more reskin units to go, and then we can start looking towards new stuff. But of course, now we have to look towards the Beastmen. Just some basic reskins would work out quite well, I'd say. Nothing too expansive, maybe just the basic Gores and Bestigores. Again, this is purely for thematic and roleplay purposes more than anything, and this is when we start moving towards new stuff. We'll start off with Khorne Gores, as they might be an interesting topic. So originally, when it came to the original God-touched Beastmen, they were known as Pestigores, Slangores, Zangores, and Khorne Gores. There was literally nothing too special about them barring aesthetic, as they were pretty much just Bestigores with their own special colorings. That's literally just it. However, when it came to Age of Sigmar, and yes, I know I said no Age of Sigmar units, but hear me out here, they were changed around a lot. So far we've seen new Zangores and Slangores, and the Pestigores themselves had a new unit, but it was only introduced for Blood Bowl. There's been no showcase of any new Khorne Gores as of yet, but it's very likely that if they do get implemented, they might have this new Age of Sigmar look. And the reason why this could work is to make the units truly unique, and also purchase the models alongside of it. Keep in mind that obviously every Warhammer game is very much like a, well, let's be honest, every Warhammer game is an advert, isn't it? It's an advert for the miniatures. Now, as it works here, we know that the Sineshi Keeper of Secrets has taken the aesthetic of that of the Age of Sigmar one. It's still a Keeper of Secrets though. So if a Khorne Gore, Slangore, Zangore, and Pestigore does get implemented, well, they would still be the original stuff, just with their new look. Obviously, this is very much dependent on Games Workshop and Creative Assembly, but I think that this would be the best way to go about it. I'm not saying bring in all the Age of Sigmar miniatures, although it would help fill out the rosters kinda nicely, but it would be nice to get the specific God-touched scores, and not only have them available for the mono-god factions, but also the Beastmen too. We're still not sure if this will be a complete reskin or a completely new unit, but we're gonna have to wait and see. But with that being said, now we can start looking towards some proper unique units. It can't all be reskins, or else, well, they can't make any DLC, can they? First up, of course, we have the Slaughter Brute, a hulking monster of muscle and aggression. Slaughter Brutes are quite cool, very monstrous type of beasts, which are generally used for a lot of melee damage. I'd say that right now, Chaos for Khorne might still be lacking on big monstrous units. There's a lot of smaller entities and a lot of monstrous cavalry, but this is a big monster which is ground-based, not flying. This could act like a single entity beast and possibly changed around a little bit. It could be represented in game as a very fast-moving mega chaos warhound in a sense. Absolutely massive, doing damage in melee combat without a problem, able to break down gates without an issue too, and obviously to keep with the theme of Khorne, it could even regenerate as it does damage in melee combat. Normally these are bound by magic, but I guess that Khorne could just bind it with one of his brass collars or just out of pure will. Let's be honest, it isn't 100% needed as we do have some big entities, but it would be nice to have something charging alongside your cavalry, and it does look pretty damn cool, doesn't it? Brass Sisters could also be implemented. There's really not too much about them, they're more of an RPG unit, and let's be very honest, yes, they're just female Chaos Marauders. However, they could be implemented alongside Valkyr the Bloody, so you already get some really cool theme about that. That way it kind of keeps everything going, as Valkyr is of course a woman, well, half woman, half demon at this point, but having some female warriors, you know, it just kind of keeps things more thematic. It could just be that only she can recruit them if she's a legendary lord, or maybe it's a unit that you can only recruit if you have her in your faction if she's a legendary hero. So if you confederate her, then you could get access to them. It's more of the idea of something thematic. I'm not sure if that's possible mechanically, but then again, Creative Assembly have been proving us wrong lately, so we never know. Now, unfortunately, there's not a lot of remaining unique units for Khorne. Khorne's roster itself is already coming with a decent amount of unique units, and pretty much the whole roster's been fleshed out. There are 2 units, however, which come from the End Times. Now, I am fully aware that Creative Assembly did mention that End Times does not fit into the equation. However, How I see this is we already have some end times units. Believe it or not, some of the units, like for example Eltharion special units, yes they're reskins, but they are actually from the end times. And these two units specifically were implemented in such a way in lore that they were always there in a sense. So let's look at the Skull Reapers and the Rathmongers, as they could be quite interesting units for Khorne, and possibly the only way a DLC for Khorne could be justified other than just selling basic character packs as a sort of no units just characters sense. Skull Reapers are elite units of Khorne. They are clad in heavy armor, have a decent amount of mutations, and are very powerful on the battlefield. They're also a unit that normally carries around great weapons, which Khorne's army is currently lacking out. Instead of them just bringing in Chaos Warriors with great weapons or Chaos Chosen with great weapons, why not the Skull Reapers? They're truly unique and, well, let's be honest, they look kinda cool too. They would work rather well, and if they ever decide to bring in certain characters, this also fits with the theme. They could also be implemented alongside Scar Bloodwrath, which we'll cover in a later video. Obviously, Scar Bloodwrath is an end times character too, though he looks super cool and he was implemented in such a way that he always existed. Rathmongers themselves are one of those very few half-demons in a sense. They are between that very thin line of mortal and demon. Commonly they carry flails and axes, a anti-infantry unit as can be expected, and well, they look pretty cool, and that's the big deciding factor for me here. Cool factor is always just a big benefit. I don't think we have any proper flail units at the moment in Total War Warhammer, so this could be a way to introduce the weapon properly. But other than that, that's pretty much it in terms of unique units. There are a few things established in the RPG series of course, but they're just, well, they're reskinned Marauders. Khorne doesn't really need too much. In fact, with everything stated, we probably have at least one, or at a real big stretch, 2 DLCs possible for Khorne. Of course, this would change if Creative Assembly and Games Workshop finally decided to add in some Age of Sigmar units, but even then, there's not a lot there. Maybe this also changes in the far future when Warhammer the Old World gets released, as, well, the Kislev roster is from Warhammer the Old World, so if any new Chaos units get introduced there, then it's possible that we could see them being implemented for, of course, Warhammer 3. They would be considered the same timeline after all. Now, Khorne has a lot of possible named characters, and we're going to do a video about that soon, but this is pretty much it. What do you think about the missing units, and are there any I might have missed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel has been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.